I put my trust in you, and I trust in our love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love. I put my trust in you, and I trust in our love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love.
Hello, friends. My name is Dave Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain. And we're your fuck buddies again for the 300th time.
For the 300th time.
The 300th. Why did we both say
I don't know. I don't know what we
So
said.
we haven't even started yet.
We're a sex and dating advice podcast where we take your sticky, sexy situation and turn them into sexy, sticky situations.
Simply put, we haven't missed a week in 300 weeks.
Oh, God, it's going to blow.
Hell yeah. And we're popping some fucking wine. We're in the closet. We love you. We earned this, I think. To simply put it simply, we are a sex and dating advice podcast. Find questions either roaming the wilds of the internet or from our wonderful listeners. I'm letting you hear Dane pour.
Yeah, I don't know if this is picking up or not, but it's probably picking up a little bit. Oof.
Yeah, you can hear those sweet bubbles.
Them sweet bubbles. Bubbly.
And when we do this, and in the last 300, I almost said 300 years. It did feel like
It
that.
certainly feels like it sometimes.
In the last 300 episodes, we have had some incredible interactions with some incredible people. We've had some incredible guests. We've done some really cool live shows. We've played in the woods. We've won some awards. And we've sweated out enough to drown the entire city of Toronto.
It's true.
That was the lamest clip.
Yeah, I know these glasses are not clinkable.
In this very closet. And we love you. So cheers.
It's funny. There's currently a strike at the LCBO, which is our sort of like provincial alcohol shop, which it doesn't make any sense for anyone probably outside of Ontario.
No,
I think everywhere else is regular people, but there's a monopoly on alcohol sales here in Ontario, and you have to go to sort of like government-run things. So it was a challenge to get some sparkling wine, but I was able to do it through my
He quested.
backwoods contacts. A man opened up a van and
Yeah,
was
there's a
like,
guy
"What are you
who
buying?"
he brews sparkling wine from the sap of ill trees
Yeah.
in the swamps of Alberta, and Dane got a hookup.
Known swamps of Alberta, the prairies.
Yeah. The wine is a dark green color. Actually, you have something else that you've been teasing.
I do. I was
and
going
I'm
to say,
so scared.
before we enjoy this sparkling wine,
Dane
too
brought
much-
like a very sketchy bag in here and has been teasing some nightmare thing he's brought, and his face is terrifying.
I think you should you want to do video, so pop up in the camera, because I think we're going to want to try these.
This is me in terror.
Yep. You ready?
This is Dane.
Are you ready for them?
What are you popping? What is this?
Are you ready for this? What's this? Oh,
Ooh,
it's a
okay.
Warhead sour blue raspberry soda.
Oh, this is amazing. I was so scared. I thought you were going to like ruin my life.
No. They could be disgusting. Warheads are very sour.
Yeah, but
And
my sour tolerance is much like my spice tolerance, where like, just abuse me.
Same.
Abuse me, fucking wardrobe papa.
War daddy.
War daddy.
So that's what we're gonna pop before we. Maybe together.
Yeah, let's do it.
I feel
Are they
like
both the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we making mimosas out of these?
That's what I'm thinking. I think we make the most disgusting.
They're going to be so abusively sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it by itself first.
Yeah. Of course.
It's just
this
delicious.
is nothing.
It's just
this is just.
It's not
It
even
tastes like
sour.
someone. Yeah. It just tastes like someone melted a.
A blue freezy.
Yeah. These are delicious.
They are. When you said you picked it up at like a convenience store, or corner store, the way you said it, I thought it was going to be like Black Cat, like dick fucking drink. You know those things that make you virile?
Yes. The feeling of wanting to try those things every time I'm in there's a corner store right by a bar I frequent, and anytime I pop in for like late night snacks, I see them there, and I'm just like, do they work? What do they do?
What? Are they poison?
Are they poison?
They
Yeah,
have
it's
to
like,
be.
are they going to enlarge your heart four
Yeah,
times the
instead
size
of your dick?
Yeah.
What if it gets lost? Instead of going to dick, it goes to heart, or somewhere worse.
I just assume they're like heart attack pills. Like,
Yeah.
I assume it's like, oh, don't worry about your erectile difficulties because you'll die.
Yeah, it's cured, just not the way you want.
Yeah.
It. Are you ready?
Yeah, I
Should we
think
get
so.
into this?
Yeah. I do want to say, because you said something very nice, and I want to say something nice so I don't feel left out. This has been a wild ride,
Mhm.
and to make it to 300 feels surreal.
Mhm.
It feels very fucking weird.
Mhm.
But I'm very glad that we're here, and I'm hyped. I'm excited. I'm in a good mood. I'm vibing.
Yeah,
We got-
I'm loose. I'm loving it. And I will say, like, I think the people who are around you, like if you have cool friends, you're like, okay, I must be pretty cool. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's hard to look at yourself objectively, or even if you do, you're always going to be like, I suck. But like, we have the coolest fucking listeners.
Yeah.
Like, we really do. Like, everyone we've talked to, so cool. Everyone who comes to the show, so cool. Like, and that's such a fucking mark of like honor. You know what I mean? That means we're doing something right. So thank you guys for being cool.
Yeah.
Because if you sucked, I'd be like, shit, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. Episode 300 of Making the World Worse, maybe? So Dane, what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about the show and how we made it.
Sure. But I got some questions first.
Oh.
Does anyone have any good ideas for first dates that aren't a meal and a movie?
Yeah. There's 300 episodes in which we talk about it.
Okay. Which, any episode in particular they should listen to?
The Patreon.
Yeah. We did a specific Patreon about this that will
Hey, let me tell
break
you.
it down for you.
Have I forgotten to upload that?
Yeah, I just realized that.
Yep. I have not uploaded that yet.
Hey, by the time this is out, maybe.
Hopefully.
Wait, they don't know. This is the future.
It's
we
true.
can put it up and you're still correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's easy. Does anyone else feel increasing pressure to make relationship decisions earlier on so you don't risk wasting anyone's time? Does anyone else project into the future and think, nah, fuck that. He, she is XYZ. It may not work out long term. I may as well end it now so I don't risk wasting anyone's time.
I think as I'm approaching my as I'm in my mid 30s and creeping towards my late 30s, I think there's a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of stories. Recently, someone told me about the fact that like someone kind of cornered their partner and was like, I need assurances that this is the last relationship I'll be in.
Wild thing to say.
Which is a crazy thing to say because no one can promise. Even with like, I could get married and stand in front of my family and friends and God
and Jibo
and if God, if you believe him, and be like, I'm going to love you forever till death do us part. And that could still not be true. Right. So it's like, I don't understand why trying to browbeat someone into making a false promise is any more valid than like just writing it out.
You know the part in Team America where she's like, I'll sleep with you, but only if you promise to never die. And he's like, I promise. That's what you're doing in this situation, basically. So I think like, yes, I understand maybe the fear or the terror, but rushing things is never going to harm you or cutting things off before you're sure. So I think in these situations,
is rushing things are never going to harm you?
The opposite of that. Yeah,
okay.
Rushing things will harm. Yeah, no, that's the complete opposite of the thing I said. Don't rush things, but also cutting things off too soon for fear that you'll waste someone's time, I think is shitty for you, but it's also shitty for them because they're not part of that decision. And I think the cure for this is much like when people are like, I just want to talk to someone and have them be exclusive to me. Like from the first time I see them, we're not official, but we're not dating anybody else. That's the only scenario in which you're wasting someone's time. Yeah. Right? Like if you make them do it, if they want to do it themselves, whatever. But like if you guys are still seeing other people and open and having fun and blah, 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 you're not wasting their time because they're allowed to see other people. And, you know, once you're open about where you're at and you're not lying and you're not like, oh yeah, I want a relationship, but you don't.
I guess I'm looking at this from the phase of, or like from the mindset of like, you're already dating someone and there, but yes, you are correct. If you're not dating, if you're single,
I guess it's both because it's just relationship decisions earlier.
Yeah.
So it could be at the start. It could be, you know, if you're together and you're not sure about marriage, but they are, I think you just need to keep an open dialogue.
That's it. I think you need to be, as we get older, I think our priorities and what we want become a little clearer, right? For me, I don't want kids, right? So it's very important for me to find a partner who also doesn't want kids, because I think where you get into the wasting your time, and this is kind of what you were touching on, is like, if I start dating someone who's like, my number one calling in life is to be a mother. That's fucked. It's a bad idea. Not that if
no,
you want,
it's fucked if you waste their time.
Yes, it's fucked if I know full well that I never want to have kids. I do not want kids. They're not in my plan at all. Not to say that might change, right? But to know that it's so unlikely that I want kids and being like, could change, and to either feed them hope of being like, I could change my mind at any moment. That's where you waste time.
Yes.
Right?
And like, if
being clear and being like, I don't want to get married, and someone is like, marriage is the most important thing to me, then you need to communicate and then look at that and be like, okay, well, how important are those two things? If the person who doesn't want to get married just doesn't care about getting married, then like, again, for me, I don't want to get married. But if I was with someone who it was important to, I would probably be like, yeah, we can get married. We're going to meet in the middle and we're going to find like a compromise to it. Yeah. And it's not going to be religious. It's not going to be huge. It's not going to cost us.
Wait, you're not going to waste 30, 40 grand? Yeah. Really? Why? Idiot. Like, what are you going to do? Spend that on your life or a holiday or your house or something important? Why couldn't you waste it on a shitty day you're going to get too drunk and not enjoy?
So it's like those are
No
are
offense
things,
to people with weddings. I'm poor.
it's one of those things where I think like that's how you only waste people's time when you're disingenuous and dishonest.
Yes.
I think.
And I think like if you don't know, that's valid. But you need to explain that. You know what I mean? You not knowing doesn't mean you have to make a decision and just be like, fuck it, let's get married, or I'll never get married. And then 2 weeks later you're like, shit. Like, you can just say, hey, I don't know. And if they're frustrated, sure. But, like, if you're being honest, you'd be like, hey, I'm sorry. I am unsure. I don't really know. You seem to be sure. You're giving them the knowledge they need, where if you're wasting their time, they can bail.
Yeah, as much information as you have being presented at the time of... And also, I've talked about this with a lot of people where it's like, having a conversation once isn't enough. There's a lot of people who think that, like, oh, well, we had our expectation talk.
Yeah.
Oh, they know I'm not looking for X, Y, and Z. Oh, I'm blah, 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 blah. And it's like, sure, you had that conversation once, but things change constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that the conversation you had
a year ago
on your first date is the same, like you are in the same place and want the same things as 6 months, a year, 2 years down the line. No, it's like, those are things that like you need to talk about constantly. Yeah. And also when you know it's changed for you,
especially you need to bring it up.
It's your responsibility to impart that knowledge, whether it's a full conversation or just a like, hey, just a heads up. I know I said I didn't want to be exclusive, but I'm finding myself more inclined to just want to be with you. And exclusivity isn't off the table for me. Yeah. I'm interested in pursuing that. And then, you know,
and then if they want it, you can talk about it. If they don't want it, guess what? You still talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
And they could be like, hey, cool, I'm not there yet. And then all right, great, perfect. You know where I'm at. If your position changes, let's have a conversation. And I'll let you know if, for whatever reason, exclusivity, like maybe I meet someone in 6 months. You know what I mean? Like it's, you constantly are moving and dynamic. And I think that's where a lot of people fuck up in their...
They do the communication, but they do it once.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, good start. But then you fucked up by calling it there.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people who, in their 20s, either that I dated or I'm friends with, who are like, I'm never going to get married. I never want to have a family.
All have a family.
Yes. And it's not through like, oops, it happened or they settled or whatever. It's just that, you know, in their 20s, when they were 23 and, you know, partying and going out and young and hot, they not that they're not hot now, but you know what I mean? It's like
they're not young.
They're not young. They're in their 30s.
Whoa,
decrepit. You know, their priorities change all of a sudden. Like as they get older, they're like, actually, no, I found a person that I do want to spend my life with. I found someone that I do want to raise a family with, and that's fine.
Well, like literally, when I met my current partner, when we both started like going on regular dates, we were like, hey. I was like, look, I just got to have a shitty relationship. Again, not that recently, but like enough that I wasn't in the mood for a relationship. So I was like, I'm not looking for a relationship. And she was like, yes, I also am not. And then 2 months, maybe 3 months later, we were at like a party and I was referred to as her boyfriend. So I took her aside later. I was like, hey, that word was kind of thrown around. I want to make sure we're still on the same page. And it was kind of a, like, someone brought it up, not them.
Yeah.
And like, we talked and we reestablished what we were, and it was great. But like, if we had left either of those two things, that would have been bad. And then later on, when things changed, we brought up, hey, I do want to be exclusive. And it was great. Like, we checked in multiple times. Yeah. And things did change. And if we hadn't done that, it would have been a mess.
Yeah, and I think like if a lot of the times, if what you're looking for is what you like, I think pushing people into corners is a good way to not get what you want.
For sure.
Or
get what you want in the worst way.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, I think
you might think you got what you want.
Yes, you've convinced someone to give you what you want, despite the fact that they're not willing to give what you want. So
what you want is them to give it willingly.
Yeah.
So
I think if everyone just took a breath, and I understand that there are biological clocks a ticking, and I understand that, like, all that kind of stuff, but you know, there's always options, right? There's surrogacy, there's adoption, so it's like, I think it's weird. And I think this is a problem that's put on women a lot, where they're like, you hit 40 and you're useless. You're just a husk of a woman, like, give up. And I think that's fucked up.
Yeah. Cause sometimes you can become a husk in your 30s.
Yeah. I know women who are husks in their 20s.
So there's nothing worse in that situation than marrying someone shitty. Or having a kid with someone when you're not ready or who you don't like. Like, those are worse than not getting married and not having a kid.
Or, like having a kid with someone who's also not ready. And
and then the kid fucking suffers. Great.
Yeah. Or you suffer, or both, or like everyone.
Now we get another fucking writer out here. Great.
Yeah, you got another one of these traumatized artists.
Oh, what's he gonna do? Start a podcast? Fucking wonderful.
Great. Now we've competition, and that's your fault.
Yeah, our 300 weeks mean nothing.
Nothing.
All right. Speaking of breaths, you know what time it is? Time for some Dane facts.
Oh, we're doing this. Dane fact number 744.
I think it's 47.
I'm not doing it in order. It's kind of all over the place. I'm
Weird, because you've done the last 3 or 299 episodes in order, and now you're changing it up? That's wild. That's cool, Dan.
I'm an innovator. What can I say? I'm a disruptor. One of my favorite graphic novels, Scott Pilgrim.
Amazing. All right, next question. I love that segment. Throwaway SSN 234566126. How can you make a man who isn't traditionally attractive feel sexy? Recently started seeing a guy who has lost a bit of weight, but he's still unhappy with his current physique. He is also very hairy. Combine that with the fact he's inexperienced, and you have a man who can be incredibly self-conscious in bed. I like his body. I'm attracted to him. I don't mind the hair. He turns me on. I tell him these things and he smiles and feels good for a bit, but sometimes when I touch him in a certain way or in an area he's self-conscious about, it knocks him off his game. What do I do?
I get it. I put on a little pooch, a little tummy after COVID or during COVID that I've
man, brother, me too.
That I've had a hard time getting rid of, and it's still prevalent. And when my partner, when we're cuddling or if we're on the couch or whatever, and her hand dressed, my body recoils. I'm like, ooh, and I want to suck in, and I want to
you're
shift
just tensing for the whole rest of the episode.
Yeah, and I know that it's not my partner being malicious at all. You know what I mean?
And in fact, it's probably a good thing. It's that they aren't going, ooh, an attractive part. They're like, oh, great part.
Yeah.
Or just part.
So I get it. I understand and I think everyone's got a part of them that they probably,
if not multiple
parts where they don't like
every part.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, they touch my arm, or, oh, they touch my little muffin top hip area. So I think we've all got it. And I think we can all understand that locations that we don't want to be touched. And if you know them, if it's the tummy, just avoid the tummy.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I don't think it's a hard thing to do.
Now, my worry is you avoid it so much that they go, yeah.
I don't think I would notice someone not touching.
Probably not, but it depends, right?
But you counteract it with
verbal
words of affirmation, right? Of when they're coming out of the shower and they're drying off. And this is something my partner makes fun of me because I get very dry after a shower. I'm not
we already did Dane facts, man.
I get so dry.
You're always trying to sneak them in every episode, man.
And they joke about how dry I get, and they'll sometimes crack the bathroom door open to watch me dry off. But they'll say nice things about my body, and
that's a real dry tummy. It's also hot.
Yeah. And it's I think little things like that of just being God, you look good naked. Just offhand like that. And don't go overboard. But when the spirit moves you, I think that's a great opportunity to just be God damn.
Yeah, I think just keep at it. Keep the positivity and the thing and be honest, right? It's better when you're honest. You know what I mean? You don't just pick, if you know they're hung up on one thing, you don't just always say, nice tummy, you got a great tummy. You know what I mean? If you find their fucking legs sexy as fuck, say that. You know what I mean? Sexiness isn't just one area. If they feel good about every other area, they're still going to feel good. You know what I mean? And I think, it all depends on have they openly told you these things. Because if they have, you can be like, hey, you look really good. If they're worried about hair, you can be like, 1, I don't find it unattractive. I think it's really attractive. And 2, if you want, there are things you can do. You can shave, you can wax, you can do all these things, right? So it's if it's a thing they're unhappy about, tell them 1, that you like it. And 2, suggest these things if they, if they are, if their body hair fucking, I have a friend who doesn't like their body hair, and I have helped them shave their back before. Here you go. So there are ways forward. But you keep the positivity, keep it honest. Yeah. Sometimes you can be a little dishonest and hone in on the places they need it most.
And when they put on, if you guys are going out for date night and they put on an outfit and you just be like, you look fucking great tonight.
Yeah.
That's
mid-sex, but you look so fucking good.
Yeah. It's so simple. And this goes for everyone. I know this is,
even if they're not insecure, this isn't especially men.
I was going to say, especially men, we are compliment starved. We very rarely get words of affection. Yeah. and acts of affection. It's just a thing that we don't get. And I talk about this a lot with my friends and the people that I know.
As friends, try to do it. And it's so rare that people who aren't involved are like, what's wrong with you guys? That's weird.
Oh yeah. People get like visually or, actually upset with us with how affectionate we are with one another. Man, I want to be such a scumbag and mix this.
Let's fucking do it.
Yeah? Okay, let's do it. God, this is upsetting. This is...
We've turned this beautiful bottle into some kind of nightmare.
This is... All right. Yeah, get that in there. Get the Jackson Triggs. Jackson Triggs is actually going to assassinate. They're going to like Boeing us.
Yeah.
We're going to... Oh no, there's a tragic closet accident in Toronto today.
So 2 corks popped off 2 bottles of sparkling, went straight through the skulls of 2 untalented podcast. Why'd they write that?
Why'd they do that? Why'd they do us so dirty? Cheers. I'm sorry, Jackson and Triggs.
I'm only sorry to Triggs, honestly.
That's not bad.
I can't really taste it.
No.
Well, the whole thing's going in.
We're doing... Imagine a sommelier was here. One, to be fair, I think they would be disgusted.
Show me that blue.
I think they'd be disgusted in the bottle that we've chosen anyway. This was, I think, $20 at the wine rack.
20 ain't bad, but at the wine rack, they add like a 7. That's an LCBO 12.
So I'm sure already the sommelier's spitting in our face. But then for us to pour in...
Yeah, a slap against God's plan.
Look, I'm not ashamed.
I'm not ashamed. I'm loving it. I'm vibing. Yeah. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What do butterflies feel like? Boyfriend, 20, and I, 19, have been together for about 3 years. What do you mean? A few days ago, he said he still feels butterfly in the stomach when I'm around. Made me start thinking, I don't know if I've ever felt butterflies in my stomach before. Maybe I just don't associate what it is with being butterflies. I love him so much. This isn't an issue. I don't doubt my love for him or his for me. I'm just wondering what it feels like to know if I've ever felt it or not. Thanks for the help.
I wish I could remember what we answered or what I said in this one. Hey, let me tell you.
Have you solved my riddle?
You're going through either our first episodes or our first couple episods of questions.
It's our very first episode.
All of them?
Every question.
Damn, I don't remember.
Episode. I did it backwards because I knew this one would be a giveaway.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to our responses, but I did scrub through until I found the questions.
Yeah.
Because I thought it might be a fun retrospective. We answer them and see what's fucking changed.
See how close we get?
What if we say the exact same thing? We already won't because we've mentioned COVID and being old.
True. We were young. Bright-eyed, hopeful men.
Yeah. We probably looked very different. And I know we did because I saw that one picture of us where we looked like just insanely thin.
Oh, that was pre-podcast, but not by much. That was like 2018 or sorry, 2016, I think was the photo that I'm sure if we look through our fucking Europe trip too, which was 2017, which was a year before we started, I'm sure we were
back when we could travel when podcasts didn't have us chained in the closet.
I thought you were going to blame COVID, but also I would say that we've traveled quite a bit because of our podcast.
We have now. Yeah. It's flipped.
I imagine butterflies in the tummy feel much like a bee in the closet. Also a joke we couldn't have made. But God, could we have known the horror? Could we? No, we couldn't have.
So I was thinking about this, and I don't know if we said this. You get butterflies over other things. Like if you're traveling tomorrow morning and you're like, ooh, that's butterflies. If you have an exam tomorrow and you're like a little nervous, that's butterflies.
Yeah, it's
kind of stress.
It's just stress. It's a cute word for stress. Mm-hmm. Because I think the only time I could ever describe or say definitively that I had butterflies in my tummy
is that time you ate butterflies.
Is the time I challenged myself, a la Joey Chestnut, to eat as many butterflies as I possibly could. No,
we're watching the live Joey Chestnut thing in November, right?
Sure, yeah.
Great.
It's my birthday present to me. Mm-hmm. If you swallow them frozen, you know how they freeze the butterflies for weddings and stuff?
But you gotta freeze them in amber.
Yeah, you swallow them and they thaw out in your tummy and then they're in there just freaking out. No,
but the bad thing is, like, I don't like this because Dane does this a lot. But I have to punch his tummy till they die because he can't poop them out while they're alive.
Also, I fucking hate butterflies. Dane fact, I hate butterflies and
do you remember moths. Dane facts?
I do remember Dane facts.
It was like you did it once, like episode 1. You're like, oh, Dane facts, that'll be a segment.
I did a few more than that.
I
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
sure. My partner is currently listening through our catalog again because she's a psychopath. That I love
the
her.
best way.
Hold on. I've several thoughts I need to finish. One, Butterflies in the Tummy. The only time I can definitively say that I have them was before auditions. I could remember.
yeah.
I remember that like feeling, and that was a lot of actors hate auditions. I love them because of that feeling. Like I like that feeling of like, whoo.
Well, I like that for exams and shit too. I'm like, yeah, let's go. It hypes me up.
Also, like before, I know I don't show it, and I know this pisses you off, but before a
For
show,
anything.
before a show, I also get like not things that I've done multiple times, but things like when we're at Fan Expo and cons and stuff like that. Like PAX U, I was like sitting up on that stage.
You know what's weird? Like PAX, I got nothing.
Oh yeah, no,
not
PAX,
even at all. I was like, this is like, it was so casual that
But it's
it
not-
like, freaked me out.
it's not nerves for me. It's
Excitement,
like
yeah.
it's like we're
No,
doing.
I mean, I got nothing. Like, it just kind of happened. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, it's going.
yeah,
It's weird. It's kind of same with our live shows now. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, our live shows I could do in my sleep. Not that it's bad, but just it's
no, that's how good they are.
yeah. It's like it's so second nature.
It's like
now.
you want your pilot, right?
Now-
If you're in a plane, you want your pilot to be able to do it in their sleep. You don't want them to be like, oh shit, about everything, right? That's
Yeah.
where we are. We're fucking pilots, man.
We are pilots.
We're ear pilots.
Okay, now I was talking about my partner and how much I care about them dearly. I think I called her a psychopath.
You did, yeah. You've now been canceled.
I need to. No, this will get me back in the good graces. I need to issue an apology, which I believe we also do quite frequently in our early episodes.
It's true.
About nothing important either. Again, my partner has been listening, and
I think the only real apology we've issued after someone messaged us was that one Kama Sutra account that was really angry that we said man couldn't multiple orgasm. And like, I don't know who they are because they never interacted in any other time. Obviously, they were a listener at one point.
yeah.
Do you still listen?
Are you still there?
Did you give up? Why do you? What?
Are you out there?
Send me a message.
Yeah. I did when I was talking about pets and first dates and first meeting her dog Wyatt. I painted him in an unfavorable light.
Okay,
and she wanted me to reiterate. She asked me very kindly and very sweetly to issue an apology, not an apology,
a
clarification that Wyatt was a very good boy, was the goodest boy, and was a very sweet dog and was a very lovely dog.
See, I
he
knew
just
this,
had a bark.
so it didn't even register.
Yeah. She was worried that people were going to think that he was a bad dog
Oh, he's
or
the
an
best
annoying
dog.
dog.
He was so good.
He was a
I
very
never
good
even
dog.
met him.
He was a sweet puppo, and he's in a better place now. He's up in doggy heaven, but he was an excellent dog, and that is my official statement, and I will not retract it.
Now we somehow need to talk about meat cubes, and I don't know at what point meat cubes came in.
We talked about meat cutes,
We did talk about meat cubes. Oh, was that the first dates?
maybe.
Fuck, man.
That was we were talking about meat cutes,
And then did you say meat cubes? Is that what
I
happened?
think one of us thought one of us said meat cubes.
Okay, yeah. Well, who knows? Yeah, it's a little nerves. It's a little jitter in your belly.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And
it's fine not to feel that with people. I don't know if I've ever felt that way about a person.
again,
when
imagine
I was
if
an
your
adult.
pilot had butterflies.
Yeah, like I think I felt that like as kids when like there's just an absolute like gorgeous person and like you start feeling those feelings for the first time of being like, oh no, there's like before we were all just kindergartens running around doing shit, playing with blocks, playing in the sand, playing in the mud, whatever. And then like once you get like you hit that age and you're just like, uh-oh, there's a new feeling here.
Ladies.
And you're very cute. I felt that.
I'm going to make my whole life about this.
Were you a girl crazy kid? Like, were you early or were you a cooties until?
No, I
late?
was like, what? Like, it was before secondary school. So I probably was like 9 or 10.
Oh, I was early, dude. I was crushing on people in like fucking kindergarten.
That's
like
weird.
grade 1 or 2.
That's weird. Man.
It's fucking
They're
weird.
not into it. So what was really funny, we used to do kiss chasing in primary school. So you'd be in the yard and you'd run, you grab someone, you kiss them. And it was really funny because I guess there was a lot of like latent homophobia where the boys wouldn't kiss boys, but the girls had cooties. So it was like a really stupid game. But I would be like, oh, I'll kiss the boys. And I'd grab them and fucking smooch them.
Okay.
I was unstoppable at kiss chasing. I didn't care.
No, it was the juggernaut of kiss chasing.
I was, yeah.
Um,
I'll kiss a boy.
Yeah. I remember being very young when I was like starting to develop crushes. And then I remember like I was girl crazy early. I remember being like young and like the Pink Power Ranger, Kelly Kapowski.
Oh yeah.
Like all these like
see, yeah. So I don't know. I just I don't know. I remember
the
like
amount
my
of
first
dreams I had about asking Kelly Kapowski out to a dance or fucking Kimberly, the Pink Power Ranger, out to like a dance.
Let's be fair. So hot.
And my school like didn't have dances.
Well, I was going to say mine didn't either. So
I mean, we did once we got into like junior high. So like grade 6 and up, we had dances. But like I was like having dreams about this in my elementary school, which like I had never gone to a dance, but all the shows that I was watching that had dances, right? So I knew about them.
You didn't know what they were.
I didn't know what they were. I never gone to them. But me thinking I was, fucking king shit, asking Kelly Kapowski out.
Hey, if you went up as a fucking 5-year-old and asked her to a dance, you think she would have said no?
I'm going to say Blank Check didn't help that. Did you ever watch Blank Check?
No.
So there's a movie called Blank Check, and the kid gets his bike.
Here we go. It's the Blank Check segment.
The kid gets his bike run over by like a millionaire, and the millionaire is just like,
Remember back when millionaires were like impressive?
Yeah.
And now it's like,
well, this kid, I don't even know if he gets $1 million. I think it's probably much
check.
less. It's probably,
he gets whatever he wants.
Well, that's what he does. The guy who signs it hands it to him, but he didn't fill out the value amount. So he's like, so he fills in the value amount, and then he ends up like,
he fills in $80 and gets a house, a plane.
Well, this is the thing. Like, he ends up with like a mansion and like a fucking movie theater in the base. Like, I'm sure if we look at the amount that I think it is $1 million, but like $1 million doesn't get you home.
Yeah, you would literally not be able to get a regular home.
Yeah. But at the end of the movie, I don't remember if she's like his secretary or assistant or whatever. At the end of the movie, this kid's like fucking 9. She kisses him and is like, "I'll see you in a few years." And it's like, it's not a few years, lady. It's like a decade.
Years and it's still not cool.
It's a full decade.
Yeah.
It's like the fucking the end of Crazy Stupid Love, where the babysitter gives the kid, like the teenager, like at the end.
Yeah.
So one of the kids, Steve Carell's son, is obsessed with the babysitter, and then she takes a bunch of sexy photos for Steve Carell because she has a crush on him. She gives those photos to like the kid, and you're just like,
that's cool.
Also,
that's a normal good,
also
not crime.
Good to do.
Don't do that.
Which sucks because it is my favorite romantic comedy. Dane fact.
God, what have I done? Why do people ghost? That was our very first question.
Why do people ghost?
That's our very first question.
When you die and you have unfinished business.
Yeah, thank you.
You sometimes hang around the moral coil in order to finish it. Yeah. Sometimes, if it's a particularly violent death, you become a revenant.
Yes.
In which case, you are a violent manifestation of your rage and anger.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you're tied to a certain location. Sometimes you're tied to a certain item. If you burn the item and salt it, or burn the remains and salt it, or if you bring the ghost to hollow ground,
help resolve the
finished business. Maybe just become really good friends, and then they realize that was their unfinished business, maybe, and then your friendship saves the day. But in saving the day, it kills your friend again, even though your friend was already dead.
Kind of like a Frosty.
And then you're really sad, and then you die, but your unfinished business is you didn't get to hang out with your friend more, but now you can't because your unfinished business requires to hang out with them, but they're passed on, and you can't pass on until you do your business. And I don't mean shit.
Yeah. That's why people ghost.
That's why people ghost, man. You have questions for me?
I do. Now this was I put a post out, and I was just like,
real original.
Yo, hit me with your questions. First, I want to issue another apology. And I'm sure this is going to tie in. Actually, I'm going to talk about this. So someone asked us, let me see if I can get the full phrasing of it, because it was a very strange one to ask. And I would like to hear your thoughts on it. Agent Candy Cane asked, "What's your secret to longevity? Take that how you will."
Well, okay, in podcasting, you have to be regular and reliable, which me and Dane maybe took too far. I would love to know how many podcasts there are out there who've done 300 in a row.
300 without ever missing an episode.
Without ever missing an episode. Yeah. I would imagine very, very
few. Maybe none.
Maybe none, actually. No, there's got to be one, but maybe not.
300 is
That's
insane.
lot.
I was going to say, it's like, I'm sure there are people who have like CBC Radio who has like a recurring.
But they probably don't do 300.
That's what I'm saying, is they probably not 300. The only thing I can think of is like maybe one of the first like CBC things. But even then, like, do they take time off on holidays?
Yeah.
Do they just
they have lives unlike us?
Do they have like reruns?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that counts.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the likelihood of, I think we're definitely like
top 10,
a top 1%. I would say.
Oh, no, I mean top 10.
Top 10. Yes. Yeah. I think so. I really do think so. I think it's
maybe not. Maybe we're talking out our ass here, and but I think we should try to find out. I'm going to try to.
I think that, considering how podcast metrics work, I think that would be impossible. But
I'm sure if I tweet the right person, they'll be like, "Well, we did it," and then we can be like, "Hey, brother." I got one.
Okay.
Have you ever listened to an old clip and changed your mind on something you yourself have said?
I'm sure. Honestly, editing the thing where I'm just like, I should have said this instead. Or I don't know if I would change my mind. I'm sure if we look, I'm going to be very honest with you. I edited these for a very long time. There's a brief period of time where we had an editor. Doing it again. I black out during these episodes. You could talk to me tomorrow and ask what we talked about. Well, this one is a little special because of the nature of the episode. But
and again, it's in a good way. We're so dialed in.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I come in here and I do the thing, and then like we've done it so much and we've done so many that people are like, what's your favorite question? I was like, I couldn't tell you.
Playing Stevesies.
I couldn't tell you what, honestly, my favorite question, I think the one that stays with me, and I think this is indicative of the fact that it's my favorite, is the one with the stripper who used to hook up with the mom and then went home for Thanksgiving and then found out that he was actually dating the daughter. I think that one is just so choice. In terms
I have
of
a really choice one, but I'm saving it for the live show on Tuesday.
Hell yeah.
Very similar though.
So I'm sure that if I listen back to episodes that I would have changed because I've learned a lot, right? Like, and even just like verbiage and language and stuff like that, like, I'm sure at some point in time I said the word like transgendered, right?
Sure.
Which I know is not the correct terminology for that. So like, I'm sure if I go back and look at, it's like when I get Facebook memories.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, gross. And it's a big thing why like I could very easily, and I know one day I'm sure it'll bite me in the ass and us in the ass of like things that we've tweeted or said or whatever, just because it's in poor taste and I was a fucking idiot 21-year-old who thought it was funny.
The thing is, not only are people idiots when they're younger, but unfortunately 2 decades ago, world a different place, right? So it's like what was acceptable, whether it should or shouldn't have been, very different thing. So yeah, I don't think, like, I've listened back to older episodes occasionally.
I think the spirit.
And I don't, like, I was very happy because I listened to one of the first, I think, 7. And I was like, oh, it's not too dissimilar to what we do now, which, is that a bad thing? Have we not grown enough?
No, I think it's indicative of the fact that like we had a mission, right? Yeah. And I think that is what's one carried us this long. To go back to the other question of longevity, of being like, we believe in what we're doing. One, it's fun. We've always we've talked about before, but we've always looked for a creative endeavor to do something together. But I think it's also when I describe the show, when I explain the show to people, especially like when we were just at camp, and everyone was like, "What the fuck do you do? Like, what is it?"
Podcast here?
Where I explain sort of like the mission and the goal and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to advocate for. And I think that's kind of like what the through line is. And I don't think that has changed in terms of like what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah. I think every day and every time we meet someone new and every time we connect deeper with different communities and different people, I think we learn more. And I think that's great. I think that's really important.
Yes.
So I'm sure if we looked back, we could find small things that we can nitpick and things that like maybe we would change the wording of. I'm sure
if I could change that one episode, that Kama Sutra account wouldn't yell at us. So
I think, I mean, like, if I remember correctly, I can't remember if this was on Instagram during COVID when we were doing like, ask us any question and we'll just like do things because we were all fucking bored. Or if we did it on the episode where I sort of implied that like it was a woman's responsibility to like work out to get thinner or something. And I remember and I think back and then a woman who I adore and I respect and I love kind of messaged me and was just like, actually, this is a shit take, and explained why. And I was like, you're absolutely correct. And I made a post about it afterwards being like, I'm retracting that. So I'm sure there are things like that that I could go back and really nitpick. But I think the overarching message is there of being, consent is important. Yeah. Protecting our most vulnerable people in the LGBTQ community, stuff like that, where it's like we have a mission. We are doing a thing. We're trying to be the best allies that we can. And the thing about allyship is like, our job is never done. No. In terms of learning, in terms of growing, in terms of, so I think there would definitely be, I can't remember specifically because again, I don't remember fucking anything.
I will say one of the only things that I feel unsure about, and I guess I do feel sure about, is when we did the Travis Kelce episode and we did make jokes at Taylor Swift's expense.
Yes.
And it's like, I know people who know us know we don't mean it.
Yeah.
And I know the way we provided it was very silly and like knowingly like ironic,
ridiculous,
but at the same time, it's not exactly a great look to be like, oh, men's self-image, and then mock someone else's body. Yes. Again, I know it's I know she's super untouchable as you know, as much as you can be, but at the same time, I do feel a little shitty about that.
I agree.
You know, and I think it's something where even when we know it's like harmless and it's whatever, it is probably something we just shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I do remember like after that listening back and being like, like that wasn't great.
Yeah, and
You know?
and again, we had people come up and talk to us about it as well. Women that I again like, and even I say the women that I respect and I love, but like even
That's all women.
yeah, even if it's like it's women who are close to me who have come up to me and have told me these things. And I was like, you are correct.
Mhm.
You are absolutely right. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good point. Now on a slightly less serious note, I have some apologies to make.
Again?
Yeah.
Dear God.
During one of our early episodes, and this is like, these are apologies for like the first 5 episodes. So I'm sure there are quite a few.
So wait, where did these come from?
These are things that once again my lovely partner
Okay.
pointed out during her
Wait, does she have
re-listen.
any for me?
I think this
Or
is.
am I just amazing?
I think this
Is that what she said?
a slow or a show collaborative.
We'll see.
Apologies.
We'll see.
I'm
I'm not involved in these. So
We
okay.
referred to Paul Walker as America's sweetheart, and apparently he did date teenagers pretty much up until the time he
Well, what could be
passed.
more American?
Oh, God.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, which I neither of us
Hey.
were aware of that.
When we mention things about I know nothing about
That's the
celebrities.
thing. Maybe we should start a gossip column
We should.
where we just
Talk about the beef between Olivia Rodrigo and
yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter.
We also encourage people to listen to R. Kelly.
Well, yeah,
which also not
yeah. Don't know.
not the best.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 that I have. Those are the 2 big ones.
That's fair. We'll take those back.
Yeah. So I'm sure, like I said, if we went back and
But we've always been pretty critical of Drake, so
it's
you're
true.
welcome.
It's true. We were on that train
Yeah.
pretty early.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome. We're out here protecting.
We out here, and they not like us.
No. Hold on. I have other things. This is
Why'd you close your phone and put it down?
I don't know.
Just
I was-
to be like, you know what?
I was calling it out. We talked. A lot of people ask like, what are sort of like? Do you regret an answer? What did you learn? What like that was
You know what? Like, I think
the amount of people who asked that. I think it's interesting for us to like being in the position that we are in of being like I understand why people ask that question.
yes, and I wish that I had a better answer, but I would have to go back.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to go
There's-
back and listen and go episode by episode. And I will say, I don't think there's anything, and I'm sure this will also bite us in the ass. I don't think there's anything particularly bad because people listen and people are listening, you know, from last year and from this year, and they're starting early. And like your partner listens. So it's like things that were really bad would be brought to our attention, I would hope.
I think that's it, right? Like
You know, like
again, I have people that I really love and respect and
Mhm.
who are very intelligent and very in tune to these things from a wide range of communities and groups that listen to the show.
Yeah.
And have never come at me, which,
Yeah.
and like, not in the sense of like trying to cancel me.
no, they would come
but
at you out
I
of
know,
love and
I know they
out of
would,
support.
they would be like,
or out of confusion, being like, why'd you?
yeah. I know they would come at me with love and
Yeah.
be like, and challenge me. Because
And we're
like,
also very open to that. And I think that's one good thing that maybe we need to do more of is like when we started, we were like, we're not professionals.
yeah.
If we make a mistake, if you have like, by all means, reach out. And I think people,
Yeah. I think in
every-
that first episode, we were just
Yeah.
like, we're not professionals.
Mhm.
Also, like, this is a conversation.
Yeah.
So if we say something that doesn't make sense or you need clarification, we're happy to do that. We're also very willing to take.
yeah. And we have, like,
We
we've
have,
had
yes.
conversations. And I do love, back to our audience being great, people reach out to us in a very conversational way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love that. But I think short of going through every episode and rating things, I think we're, you know,
Yeah. I don't think back and really like bash my head against the
I'm
wall,
sure
but-
there's more I could say. But all right, what's the next one?
What is your best memory of the podcast? I have an answer for this.
Okay,
If
I'll
you
go
want to
first.
think, I think it's Camp Halcyon. I think that was a moment for me of being flown out to New York and having a large group of people from all walks of life
Mhm.
who don't know us at all.
Mhm.
Like we knew one person there, right?
And one person had listened prior.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
sorry, one new person.
Yeah. And we didn't know anyone and no one knew what the fuck we were doing. And within a night, I would say over the course of like the first night that we were there, because we were performing on the second night, people challenged me a lot. I don't know if it
Yeah.
happened to you.
Oh, for sure.
But a lot of people, like, I remember sitting at a fire pit and a lot of women were just like, and like I understand it, like I get it,
not in a bad way,
not in a bad way, but it was just like people were like firing these questions off.
Why do you feel like you can talk about this?
And it's not even that. It was like people were just asking questions, just being like, "Well, how about this? How about this?" And watching people be like, relax a little, with the answers that I was giving.
It was really weird because usually when we're at a live show, people either they know why they're there, right?
Yeah.
So either we know them or we don't, but they know what's going on to a degree. Mm-hmm. And it still could be like, someone comes in and sees two white guys at a stage on a podcast called Fuck Buddies, and here's Pitbull, and they're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I get it.
But
with this, it was like people were going to camp for camp, and we were part of it. And I don't know how many people knew enough about it.
Yeah.
But then they started to hear, oh, there's a podcast. And then they see these two fucking white guys who, again, a lot of people knew each other there, and we were new to this particular camp and blah, 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 blah. So they were understandably
30 seconds,
curious.
we were playing beer pong.
We were, yeah. And killing it. So it was interesting having this, like, it wasn't even that night. It was the next night. So we had like a day and a half of like, pre-vetting, you know what I mean? And it was cool to be able to get to a point with that everyone was like, hell yeah, let's go to the show, because it was a full crowd,
And the thing is, I felt the shift of people's like sitting down being like, we don't know what this is, and almost immediately being into it. Like the energy. We've had some really great live shows, and we're really, really lucky to do the recurring show here in Toronto, but the energy at that show was very different, and it was very surprised.
Wild,
and it was a crazy show, and like I'm really, really excited to put it out, which coming soon. Yeah, it'll be out in like August. And it was just such a great shift of being like, oh, it was very validating for me of being like, oh, we have a show, we have a thing.
We can walk into a room, and it was the woods, but imagine with me, pretend it's a room where no one knows it, no one's listened to the show, and it's full, and it's, open bar can be a blessing or a curse, because drunk people are gonna be like, yeah, if they're happy, but they're gonna be like, fuck you if they're not, right? And we can do a good show and have everyone go fucking crazy and talk about how good it was for the rest of the night and the rest of the camp, and like can win over, that's... Because like we have incredible people who come to our shows who know us, know the shows, blah, 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 blah. So it's like,
a very friendly crowd.
We have a supportive backbone there, you know? Whereas this was, and it was amazing.
It was it was one of those things where I was just like, oh, this is great. This is really fucking cool. I really fell in love with what we do again. Yeah. There. And I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. And I mean, it was just nice to be like, oh, our show, our silly little show, just got us a trip out into the Poconos to party and play and perform. It was really, really cool.
It's something we never could have imagined. 300 episodes.
300 episodes. Yeah. If someone told me that was what we got to do when we recorded this in the closet, in October,
still in the fucking closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like for me, little things pop out. Our first fan expo with the Canadian Podcast Awards, where one of our listeners showed up specifically to see us, and he is amazing. Yeah. And it was an incredible joy to see him. And that was like, that made my life. That was incredible. And like, honestly, we won our first Canadian Podcast Award, and we were all together with a bunch of friends and a bottle of sparkling in my living room. And that was just really cool. Yeah, I mean, I just remember feeling really great, and I just broken my fucking ankle, and I couldn't walk, and I was miserable, and that was not miserable. Yeah, so that was cool.
The message we got on Patreon or whatever of the person being like, you changed my relationship, like you saved my marriage or whatever, about the blowjob.
Well, that one, like still every now and then I'll look at that and be like, hell yeah. And even just like some people message being like, I have a partner and we're like getting married now, and we met 4 or 5 years ago because of you guys. Like, it's fucking cool.
Yeah, there's some moments, there's very small moments of just being like, if this is all we've done, if this is what we've achieved, if this one single message here is all that this podcast has done for the world, I am thrilled. Yeah, this is good. I can hang my hat up at the end of the day. And
now we can die.
Yeah. Now we can ghost, or we won't ghost, because we have no unfinished business.
Unless it's really violent.
I think
when Jackson Triggs get a hold of us,
when Jackson Triggs gets a hold of us, we will be revenants. Although I think we would be like, yeah, no, man, we get it.
Yeah. So also, like, our live shows, they're fucking great. That first live show was really cool, and then like Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I think, yeah, I mean, one of the best memories and just sort of like the best things about the podcast is like people coming up afterwards and being like, I thought this was going to be shit and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think
Yeah, that's fair.
That's so nice to hear. And
2 or 3 live shows ago, we got a message afterwards from a person we had never met before saying, if it was a choice between a bear and you guys, I'd choose you guys.
Yeah.
So there you go.
which is,
Hey,
fuck you, bears.
fuck you, bears.
Do you have any more questions? I have.
No.
So this one, I don't know if we want to do it, but I think we should. Tips on starting a podcast. Like what have we learned having made a podcast?
Okay. I just did a insanely long breakdown this morning for a random account that messaged us asking this. So I could read that out, or I could just go for it.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Let's,
Consistency.
yes.
We're the kings of consistency, apparently.
Yeah.
Be consistent. You know what I mean? Try to hit a rhythm that you can sustain. But like your audience are going to want to hopefully hear you. So like,
yeah.
being reliable is great. Like I hate when my podcasts I love skip a week, even though I understand and I'm not shitty about it. But like, you know, if it's part of your Monday, it's part of your Wednesday, whatever, it's good to do that, right?
I think
starting off, you need to.
I think it's important to assume it's going to be harder than it is. And if you can make more content, great. It's easier to walk, or it's harder to walk it back.
Yes.
Right? So like for me, we have another show called No Quest for the Wicked. I knew that was going to be a bi-weekly thing just because of the amount of work that it takes to record, to edit, to produce. I knew it was going to be harder. I would love to eventually get to a point where we could do that weekly as well.
That'd be amazing, but it's a lot more. It's double the length.
I'm doing it weekly right now, and I'm going to be doing it until almost like the beginning of October, and it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So we set a realistic standard of being like, this will be bi-weekly.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do it. And this is the only way. And it's how we maintain quality. And I think that my biggest thing is
quality is essential in terms of editing, audio like
quality.
The actual get a good mic.
Get a good mic. If you're not willing to drop, like you could get a decent mic. The mic that Niall has used and recorded on is under $100.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
It was very reasonable and people shit talk it, but no one seems to know this.
But hey, we won best production in the Canadian Podcast Awards, so go fuck yourself.
The same people who've shit talked it have also heralded our podcast as a good reason not to use that mic. And I'm like, I use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's down to our incredible editor, Dane, who works really hard all the time. Love you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
But so quality, like you need to have a quality show in terms of content, in terms of...
Especially if you're an audio only podcast.
Yes.
If you're audio only, your audio needs to sound great.
Yeah.
If that's the only way that your podcast is entering in someone's brain, and like be hard on yourself. So what I did when we started No Quest, and specifically this one as well, I listened to my favorite show. I listened to my brother and me.
Yeah.
And I held this show to the standards of that show.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the biggest shows by some of the biggest names in podcasting.
One of the most long-running shows, I'm sure, at this point.
Right? And so for me, I was like, if our show doesn't sound that good or feel that good to listen to, and I'm not talking about content, I'm talking about editing, I'm talking about quality, I'm talking about sort of presentation. If it doesn't feel as good as one of the best shows on the market, I don't want to put it out.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing with No Quest for the Wicked. I listened to Critical Role. I listened to Not Another D&D Podcast. I listened to Adventure Zone. I listened to Dimension 20.
Yeah.
Those are the shows that are the top of their fucking game.
Yeah.
And I was like, if it doesn't sound like this, we're going to go back and try again.
Yeah. So get your audio quality good in terms of editing, in terms of, mic quality. Make your content good, obviously.
Yeah.
Be regular. And then, unfortunately, you need a social media presence. And that social media presence, unless you get incredibly lucky and make the right tweet at the right time and go viral, you just need to be on it all the time.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But being on it all the time, supporting people who are in the industry, figuring out the little secrets. So, like, on Twitter for No Quest for the Wicked, for example, there's a work in progress, like hashtag WIP Wednesday, Work in Progress Wednesdays, where you can post on other people's things and people will share. There's self-promo Saturdays. Figure out what your niche does and get involved in those communities. Be, again, much like the compliments earlier, be genuine. Like, work with people you like and don't just, like, people can smell fakeness.
I think that's a really important question. A friend of mine from the karaoke bar I go to was like, oh, I'm like, me and another regular are considering starting like a hip hop podcast. Like, we're going to be competition. And I was like, you're not though.
No.
One genres
there's also no competition.
But in podcasting, I was like, there's infinite space.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's not like we're competing for the 8:00 Thursday night slot on TV. It's not like we're competing for album sales. we're releasing these for free,
Mhm.
and there's infinite amount of space. And if we can find some way to work together,
Yeah.
that benefits both of us.
Exactly.
It's only good. So like,
And even if we don't, it's like, if you're my friend, I want to see you succeed.
and
You know
that's
what I mean?
and that's
Like,
what I told him. I was like, dude, you will never be competition to me, and I don't mean that in a shitty way.
because you suck.
I mean that because I want you to succeed.
Yes.
Right?
There are people who I just like from like 2 or 3 years ago who are just kind of chill on Twitter. And if I see they have a new project or a new thing coming out, I'm retweeting that. I'm
Yeah.
liking it. I'm commenting on it just to support them for no other reason than that I want them to do well. And they're in the same genre as us.
I
They're
love-
in, but
I
like,
love the community for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you'll see people who are here who think much like Twitch streaming or YouTube back in the day of being like, I watched someone do this, or I listened to this podcast and I think it's easy and I think I can make a shit ton of money
Yeah.
and I become famous and blah, 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 blah.
there's no
and
money.
It's
There's no money.
no. I mean,
if you want money, leave.
yes, if you're here for fame, if you're here for money, and like, I think you also, that brings up a very good point of being like, what are you doing this for?
Yes.
Do you want to make a podcast with your best friend because it's fun and you don't really give a shit if it's just your dad and, 7 friends who are listening? Or do you want it to be a career? Because those are two very different styles of podcasts. Niall and I decided that this is something we wanted to pursue as a profession.
Mhm.
We wanted to make a professional product
Yep.
that we could make money off of.
Mhm.
And we've done okay.
We have. It's
not-
just like me saying there's no money is me saying if you're doing it to make money, and like we're not doing it to make money, we're doing it with the aim of making money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not like, shit, I need more money, let's podcast. I'm podcasting and I would love to be able to make it into a career,
Yes.
but we're realistic. We work our fucking jobs and we haven't
Yep.
changed that because of it. And anything on top is bonus that we generally just put back into the podcast.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it to make money, that's not it. If you're doing it to hopefully make it a career, that's great if you're realistic and know that it's going to be 1, maybe impossible, 2, very slow,
A lot of
and
work.
3, a lot of work.
I mean, you have to like,
We could have gone and gotten a fucking degree and then worked for 2 years in the field by now, and it would have been
yeah.
way more,
You can like just think of like how many podcasts are out there,
Yeah.
right? Just go and search anything in the like Spotify podcast charts and just be like music, and that brings me to my next point. If you're doing a show that you want to gain traction, you want to become a job, and you want to like have a hook. If you're doing
Yeah.
a movie review podcast, if you're talking about bad movies, if you're talking about
Yeah.
a TV show,
it's been done.
Why?
So like, why?
And this is like if you're doing a D&D thing and you want to do Curse of Strahd, fucking hang it up.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not.
No, you're
but
being
like,
realistic. It's like,
but there are thousands of
Mhm.
Curse of Strahd things, and anyone who's wanted to listen to a Curse of Strahd playthrough has listened to it, and they're probably not going to listen to you.
yeah, be original. Like we specifically went with Starfinder for No Quest of the Wicked because it was so underutilized in the sphere. Like
It still
D&D,
is.
huge. Pathfinder, less huge, but still very prevalent. Like
Yeah.
sci-fi, and it's a give and take. It's like, yes, it's less popular because there's less, but there's more room to be, it's a give and take,
And hey,
and that's up to you. You
the-
got to be original.
the best advice that I can give right now is don't name your show something that will be
Don't
censored.
put a curse word in it.
Don't put a curse word in your name because you'll never be published.
Yeah.
No
You-
press will ever want to have you on their
Yeah.
show or their articles. You can't advertise on
Yeah.
any social media platform. So
You'll
no
get
matter
shadow
how
banned everywhere.
no matter
Your
how
emails will go to
fucking
spam.
clever you think you are, do not put the word fuck or shit in your name. It's not funny.
It is fun.
It is funny, but it will hurt you so bad. It's a marvel that we got this far with it. I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
Unless you have...
I got a bad sex writing to send us off if you want.
Sure, yeah, that's great. Let me just make sure I haven't forgotten anything here.
But you know what I would like to say? One,
Sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody. Episode 300, it's a really big deal for us. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you do listen to episode 1 and you notice startling dissimilarities or similarities, let us know. But if you could do us a favor, we have a Patreon. If you want to support us and you want to go on there, we have some really fun stuff. We have some extra episodes. If you've listened to 300 episodes and you want some more, we've got them on there.
Yep.
The last 2, by the time you're listening to this,
Yeah.
will be special one-off deep dives. We would appreciate any support. 2, if you don't want to support us there, that is totally fine. Please leave us a review, tell a friend, come to the show, retweet, like our posts, our videos, our, Instagrams.
And do what our really good friend Parker does. And anytime a dude
Mm-hmm.
sends you a shitty text or behaves poorly, just tell them to listen to our show.
Yeah.
It's one, the highest compliment,
It is.
and it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's we're trying really, really hard to undo the shit that you guys are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying really hard to help men who are struggling. We're trying real hard to protect the people who need protecting.
Yep.
Our queer friends, our trans friends, our gay friends, our bi friends. We're doing our best to make a world that's safer, that's sexier, that's
More fun.
happier. And it's in so many different ways. We want women to be able to walk down the street and feel okay.
Yep.
We want men to be able to sleep at night without thinking of hurting themselves
Mhm.
and feeling useless. We want our friends to not worry whether or not they're going to be beaten to death in a fucking bathroom
Yeah.
because they're using the wrong one,
Yeah,
quote unquote. We make a lot of jokes here and we have a lot of fun and there's stuff like that. But like the reality of the situation is the reason we started this podcast was because a dude committed mass murder.
Yeah.
Right. I'm getting emotional talking about it. And it's fucked that it took that much for us to do it. And it's fucked that after 6 years, we still need to do it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in a lot of ways, we need to do it more than ever. So share the message. The more people we can get unified behind good
Yeah.
ideology. Maybe it's not us, maybe it's other stuff. That's fine, but like, let's get the good people together. Let's spread it. Let's get the people who haven't been fucking Andrew Tated yet. You
Yeah.
know, and if they are, fuck them. We'll win them over.
We'll win them over.
So if you can, take a moment to support us in whatever way you can. It's episode 300. We'd like to mark it with something, So if
Yeah.
you can, we appreciate it. And if not, it's all cool. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We fucking love you. And I mean that so wholeheartedly because
100%.
the reason I couldn't choose a favorite moment from the podcast, like off the bat, is because there are so many,
Yeah.
with Dane, with you, I'm pointing at you, listener, and you're not getting away from me. It's been a wild ride and it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you listen to the end hoping we'd say we're done, fuck you. We
Fuck
ain't.
you. We got another 300 in us.
Ready for some bad sex ratings?
Sure.
Just to really take us off into the sunset. You comfy?
I was going to hope you're going to bring a Dan tweet.
I was going to, but you know what? It's played out, man.
Yeah,
It's
fuck
played.
that
I was
guy.
going to bring the same one, because we did the women jogging with headphones. Yeah. This is a tweet, or two tweets. Male feminist. It's an oxymoronic label. In the most realistic sense, if there's any cis man that can come anywhere close to being a feminist ally, that man will be gay. No, not bisexual. Gay. Homosexual. A cis man that is a feminist ally on a cis man that's a feminist ally on a meaningful sense won't fuck you. Yes, I'm telling this to you, het and bi feminists. I'm telling you, if you genuinely saw women as humans, you wouldn't be fucking one.
It's really impressive that this man uses the term cis.
That's, I believe, a woman posted this.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Either way, someone who has this bad of a take is still using like cis, because usually like it goes hand in hand of being like there is no cis,
Yeah.
right? Like you're a man or a woman,
Mhm.
and like that's it. So like the fact that you're this shitty, but still also including
You're
the
somewhat educated.
the idea of sort of like gender as a spectrum.
You're like you're on the periphery of being good.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but like
You're on the
It's-
periphery of
of understanding.
Yeah.
like you're in the ballpark, but like you're in the basement, just kind of fucking.
and it's weird down there.
It's so fucking weird.
No one's cleaned that place out. There's rats.
There's so many old hot dogs.
Yeah, and
And-
they're not rotting.
They're not rotting.
They've never rotted.
That's because that's what hot dogs are. Dane fact: hot dogs are mostly pig butts.
And we know pig butts never rot.
My name is Dane Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain.
We have been, for your 300th time, your fuck buddies.
Wow.